Okay, Jacksonville Jaguars on the road at the Cincinnati Bengals. We are sitting 3.5 now across the market in favor of Cincinnati at home. 49 to 49.5 is our total. Now, Noops, there was an expensive 3 available yesterday. I know what was available yesterday doesn't mean anything to anyone watching this right now, but I do, for full disclosure, I thought we had swung too far here on Cincinnati to get this all the way down to 3. And so I played a juicy 3 at Cincinnati at home. That being said, that number is not available as we record right now, so we'll speak in the frame of what is out there, and the hook does mean all the difference to me. Obviously, Cincinnati's offense we thought was going to be one of the very best in the NFL, and very well might be. It was not in week number 1. Another one of those teams we need to not overreact to. They're back home. There is no Myles Garrett on the other side, and Jacksonville rolls in after an interesting performance in which they were kind of trying to force feed Travis Hunter. Couldn't really get anything going, Brian Thomas, but then ATN looked like he could actually play again in the backfield. I rewatched that game, Noops, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm getting out of Jacksonville. I don't know what Jacksonville is, so this is an interesting game for me as well.
Yeah, and to your comment earlier about the line, it is obviously a line we don't have anymore, but I think it's important context. This line opened, Bengals minus 5.5. The look ahead coming into the season was closer to 6.5. So the market has told us, let's push this all the way down to 3, and that's kind of where the line is. So I think we'll see this probably settle, like you mentioned, at this 3.5. Maybe we get another shot at an expensive 3 on the Bengals, but I think the Jaguars game for last week deserves a little more context. That was another game that got lightninged. You might remember in the Thursday night football game, the first game of the season, Eagles, Cowboys, that game stopped for about 30, 45 minutes. And, basically once they came back, it was really hard for them to find their rhythm. I hate to bring up, a bad beat for anybody who had the over there, but this Jaguars game last week had kind of the same phenomenon. They had to stop the game just before halftime there, and it really did not regain any of its rhythm once it came back. I was surprised, honestly, at how good the Jaguars offense looked despite kind of a funky spot for them. Nice to see them running the ball very well, and I expect them to continue to put up points here. This Bengals defense stinks. I mean, you look at the Browns now, they scored less than 20 points there, but you look at some of the underlying metrics. The pass efficiency was there. They struggled to run the ball, but the Browns offense really isn't designed to do that the way it's set up right now. I think the Jaguars are going to have no trouble here putting up some points. I'm seeing their team total at 23.5. I was expecting this to be 24.5, and that really, from a team total perspective, is a huge key number, the difference between that 23.5 and 24.5. So I don't mind the over here. That's another bet that I was looking at. Maybe just a little concerned about the Bengals offense. We've seen in past seasons they struggle to start. Those guys don't get as much time in preseason, so they don't come in maybe in the best form, if you will, to steal a tennis term. But I like the Jaguars here. I think they're going to put up at least 24 points. So I'll take their team total over 23.5.
The other thing that I was looking at here in this one is Travis Hunter receiving yards. It's set as high in the market as 48.5 right now. They say, and if we have to, sometimes we have to believe what they tell us. They say that he's going to play more defensive snaps in this to help out to cover Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Well, if you're playing more defensive snaps, I know he was able to do it in college, but it's just a completely different animal. You're not going to be able to go out there and run a bunch of routes and then go cover Jamar Chase. Like, it's just not going to be able to happen. And so I wonder if that affects how many offensive snaps, because again, especially those just like force feed stuff that we saw last week with him, the bubble screens at the line, just any of the stuff to try to get the ball in his hands. I wonder if that does affect him. Now, more snaps is relative. He only played 6 defensive snaps, so more snaps could mean 8, then more it could mean 9, and then this whole angle that I'm bringing up here doesn't mean anything. But if we're talking like he might play 15 or 20 defensive snaps to try to help out on the to cover T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, well, I do think then at that point it affects his offensive production. So I'm kind of stuck here. I haven't put it in the account quite yet, but 50 yards for a part-time player is a lot of yards. And so that's why I'm on the fence, Noops. I haven't been able to get the under in the account quite yet, and because I don't know what to believe when they say he's going to play more defensive snaps this week. But that's at least something to think about, I guess, if you're putting together. Maybe it's a same game parlay or something or whatever, and you want to tell a story, and the story is in your same game parlay that Travis Hunter does play a ton on defense and doesn't play as much offense.
Yeah, you look at last week, only 8 targets, actually a pretty solid target share as you think about that, but well under this, had less than 40 yards with those targets. You look, a lot of those throws were underneath throws. And like you said, I mean, the Jaguars have really talked out of both sides of their mouth all summer, all through preseason here about how they're going to use Travis Hunter. I think that you're right on here. It's definitely under or pass. I think if they are hinting towards the idea that he's going to play more defensively, it definitely should be an under there. I'm wondering if this early in the season, though, maybe we save our powder for another week and just try to learn, what is the rhythm of this going to be every week? Can we trust the Jaguars? They say he's going to play defense. Do we not trust them? I think this is going to be a great week to learn about what his role is going to be going forward.